Welcome to DevOps World, and thanks for coming to my talk. My name is Bukola Johnson. I'm a DevOps engineer at Any9, and I'm an ambassador for Google Women Tech Maker program. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about our key metrics in measuring DevOps success. So we'll be looking at 5 focus areas, which are the why should you measure DevOps, the 4 key metrics that you need to measure in DevOps, how do you compare as regards the DevOps research and assessment team benchmark report, how do you compare, and the DevOps metrics dashboard tools that you can use to measure DevOps. Finally, we'll look at how you can improve your software delivery performance. Why should we measure DevOps? We should measure DevOps because you can't improve what you can't measure. Like every other thing you would like to improve upon, so is DevOps as well. So for you to be able to improve on your processes, on your software delivery, you need to measure how your team is performing. And these metrics actually help you align your development goals with your business goals. In order for you to ship higher quality products, you need to measure DevOps. If you want to ship faster and not break things, you need to collect, analyze, and measure numerous metrics. These metrics will actually provide you with the essential data that you require to have the visibility and control over your deployment pipeline. It also helps you to show your development teams how they can deliver better software to their customers. And lastly, the reason why you need to measure DevOps is because it helps you identify pain points and slowness in your deployment and in your processes. Now let's look at the 4 key metrics. There are actually various metrics that you can use to measure DevOps performance. But today, the focus will be around looking at the DORA metrics, and this is the DevOps research and assessment team metrics that they have identified as means of assessing the performance of an organization in delivering software. These 4 key metrics would help your team to know how they can move forward in how they deliver software. And the question that these metrics are answering is, are you better at DevOps now than you were 6 months ago? Are you better at DevOps today than you were 1 year ago? Now, the first 2 metrics, they pertain to velocity, and this means how fast you are able to release new capabilities. These 4 metrics, the first 2 ones we'll look at is the deployment frequency and the lead time for changes. The last 2 is change failure rates and the time to restore service. And these last 2 will pertain to stability. How stable is the product you are delivering to your clients, and the reduction of defects and downtime. These metrics actually align with the dual goal of DevOps. And what is the dual goal of DevOps? The dual goal is to move fast and not break things. So let's look at the first speed metrics, which is deployment frequency. This means how often your organization deploy code to production. How often does your team successfully release into production? It could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be monthly or yearly. According to State of DevOps reports, the high performers make multiple deployments per day, while the low performing team deploy once per month or once in 6 months. When you regularly assess your deployment frequency, it will provide you with insights into your workflow and offers you data-driven goals that you can improve upon. How then do you measure deployment frequency? You need to calculate how many deployments you make per day. That's how you're able to figure out your deployment frequency. The next speed metrics, which we'll look at, is the lead time for changes. And what does this mean? This measures how long it takes you to have a change, starting from when your developer works on a particular code to when it gets into production. And this just means how long does it take you to go from code committed to code running in production. The next metric we'll look at is the first metric in the stability aspect. That's the change failure rate. So for the service you work on, what percentage of changes to production results in degraded service? I mean like service outage. For example, let's say you have 10 deployments in a day. and 2 of these deployment causes failure, that means you are having a 20% change failure rate. So your goal should be to reduce this to like 10%, like having 1 failure out of the 10 deployments you're having. This shows the percentage of deployment that results in error or poor application performance in your production. Let's look at the last metrics, which is in the stability aspects, and that's the time to restore service. For the service that you're working on, how long does it take your team to restore service in the event of a service incident? That means an unplanned outage. How long does it take you to restore service? This simply can be defined as the amount of time from the deployment that caused that failure and the amount of and the time you are able to restore that service. It's the average time it takes for your team to recover from an unhealthy situation. So let's look at how you compare. How do you compare? As regards the DevOps Research and Assessment Team Guideline, we're going to look at the different guideline benchmark that you can use to know where you are right now in your team and where you would like to be in the nearest maybe 6 months, 1 year. The DORA team is a team that is put together by Google to survey thousands of development teams across multiple industries. So we're going to look at the guideline that they have given us in order for you to be able to know where you are. And according to the research, high performers will make multiple deployments per day, while low performing teams make deployments around once a month to once in 6 months. It takes the elite team less than 1 day for code to get into production, and it takes 1 to 6 months for the low team to get their code into production. That's their lead time for changes. And around 15% of changes cause failure in production for the elite group and the medium and high team, while up to 60% causes failure for the low team. And lastly, for the time to restore service, it takes the elite team less than 1 hour, while the low team takes up to 1 month to restore service. So now look at where you are. How often do you deploy to production? How long does it take you to restore when there's a failure? How many percentage of your deployments cause failure in production? It depends. Anywhere you are on this ladder, you can always improve upon it, plan around it, and then make it better. So now we'll look at the different tools that you can use to get your metrics on your dashboard, so as to help you know where you are and where you would like to be in your software delivery performance method. So if you would like to set up your own DevOps dashboard, there are actually various tools you can explore. But today we'll look at just 4 or 5 of them, of these tools that you can use to report your DevOps metrics on a dashboard. And the first one is your CI/CD tools. Let's look at Jenkins, for example, or any CI/CD tool you're using at the moment, I believe can get you the number of jobs you run per day. But looking at Jenkins, for example, Jenkins is an open source continuous integration, continuous deployment tool, and it can actually produce you with some useful metrics. If you look at the build job you have on Jenkins, this gives you the number of jobs you run per day. By checking this, you are able to know your deployment frequency. You're able to get that metrics out of your CI tool. For many teams, actually, these metrics from Jenkins might just be sufficient. But maybe for your team, you need more robust application or some dashboard that can give you more information around your metrics. So we'll look at other tools. And the next tool we'll look at is the Jira control charts. Jira is a software that offers you a variety of reports that provide valuable insights and information about your projects. So if you're already using Jira as an issue tracker, you can actually use it to display dashboard from your data as well. So Jira has this feature that is called the control charts. It's for reporting. So it displays the lead time for your project. And what it does is that it takes the time spent by each issue in a particular status and marks it over a specified period of time. So let's take, for example, if a feature has been added as an issue in Jira, then you can capture the dates You can capture the date that the feature was added and follow the progress of that feature through to production. This means that you can capture the total lead time for a feature to go from inception to production. Thereby, you are able to know your lead time for changes. You just have to be honest with yourself when you are creating tasks and when it's completed, so you could actually be able to get your lead time from Jira that you are already using. The next tool is the Google Cloud Platform Key, 4 keys. This is from the Google team, and the Dora team created the 4 key project. It's an open source project that anyone can use. So what this does is that it automatically sets up a data ingestion pipeline from your GitHub or GitLab repo. So with all the data aggregated and processed in BigQuery, you can visualize them in the 4 key dashboard. So you're able to you can get started with this by checking out the GitHub repo, cloning it and trying it out, the setup script, the method to set it up and all this in the GitHub repo. And it gives you a dashboard that is fantastic, that shows you all the 4 key metrics. The setup script will get you started once you look at the GitHub repo. The next tool you can use to show your metrics, your dashboard, is Grafana dashboard. Grafana is a fantastic tool and it's also free. It's a generic and highly customizable dashboard tool. It can be plugged into a lot of different data sources. It's an awesome tool. You just need to do a lot of work around it. First, you need to get your metrics into a time series database, let's say like Prometheus or InfluxDB, and then supply this to Grafana so that you are able to see your dashboard that shows, for example, you can see your deployment failure, your deployment success, and many of the other metrics we talked about after creating your dashboard. The next tool is the IGR dashboard. IGR is also a great tool to get your end-to-end DevOps dashboard. It's like an all-in-all tool. It's a DevOps dashboard that provides a view of your entire delivery pipeline. It's an open source tool also by Capital One DevOps team, and it simplifies the ability to view your CI/CD pipelines in near real time. So you can get started also by going to the GitHub repo, clone it, and go through the guide on how to set it up and get started in your environment to get your metrics as well. This is a sample of the IGR dashboard that shows us the builds per day, commits per day, and a lot of other things. The next tool is Datadog. Datadog is a great tool as well. Though it's a paid tool, you have to subscribe to it. It's expensive, but it's also a fantastic tool if your company is able to, if you have a budget around it. It's a dashboard and metrics collector, and it gives you a very nice visual view of your DevOps metrics in real time. Datadog also has this deployment tracking that comes with their APM, and this is really cool. It helps you to track application performance and stability so that you can detect issues and make production troubleshooting easier for yourself and your team. Now, we've looked at the 4 key metrics that you can use to know where you are in your team and where you would like to be in your software delivery process. Now let's look at how you can actually improve on these metrics. So let's say you are in the low category according to the benchmark by the Dora team. You want to move to the elite, or you want to move to medium team or the high team. Your goal should actually be to have high deployment frequency, low lead time for changes, low change failure rates, and then low time for you to restore service when there's a downtime. So how do you achieve all these 4 goals? I would say you start with the foundations. Start with the basic. Basic automations, like automating your deployment pipeline. Automation involves continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous delivery. Automating your deployment pipeline will actually facilitate the continuous delivery and shortens your lead time for changes, whereby increasing your deployment frequency. So you are able to deploy fast, and you are able to have a lot of deployment happen multiple times a day. You should also release feature in small batches. Ensure that you're releasing codes in bits. Once you have, ship your changes, just few changes at once. Don't bundle everything together and release at once. And the essence of this is that once there's an issue in production, you are able to roll back fast and easily. Your developers are able to know what caused the issue, and then they're able to figure this out and roll back as fast as they can, rather than bundling everything together and you don't even know where to start from when you're trying to troubleshoot an issue. The next thing you should do is to leverage cloud services. You need to leverage cloud services because if you have your applications, if you leverage cloud services, you are able to have reliability and stability, because with cloud services, you are assured of the 99.99% almost all the time. Teams that fully embrace cloud are in a much better position to achieve elite performance, because a truly cloud-native approach is essential to support a faster and much responsive and much agile deployment process. After you've done that, the next thing you can do to help your team is to have a clear change approval process. What do I mean by that? The one approach to do that is that you should require every change to be approved by someone else on your team as part of code review, either prior to commit to version control or as part of peer programming. So prior to merging to master, you should require every change be approved by someone else on the team. The next thing you should encourage your team to do is to implement test automation. Integrate your testing into your deployment process. This will help you eliminate unnecessary time that you would spend on manual testing and all. And this will also help you to reduce your lead time for changes, thereby getting better at your metrics and your software delivery. And then finally, you should have proactive monitoring. Check your system's health proactively, because monitoring helps you deliver information about your application's performance and usage patterns. When performance or issue arise, you're notified before a downtime occurs. Have proactive monitoring, install monitoring solutions, have a dashboard that shows monitoring, and when something goes down in production, you are alerted. Even before something goes down, you are alerted, so you would be able to figure out what the issue is, and your time to restore service would thereby be reduced. And then finally, I would say that the bottom line is not to focus on the metrics. It's not about the metrics at all. The focus is that you are using the metrics to meet your goals. So metrics are how your teams know how well they are progressing towards these goals they have defined for themselves. So don't focus on just the metrics. Focus on your team and your goals. The key here is to remember that it's really all about development. It's really all about making good software and providing stability and reliability as you provide software and service to your clients. Thank you.